By the light of the sun, by the depth of the moon, by the flame of the wand, by the pentacle of earth, I call upon the guides of wisdom, the ancestors of the craft, and the holy guardian angel. Guide us now through the stations of the dove and serpent. Reveal what is hidden, that we may transform it into light. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Today we walk the path of the Dove and Serpent spread, an 11-fold journey of transformation. Each position reveals a unique aspect of your journey, alternating between the essence of your being and the events that shape your destiny. Remember to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Sagittarius, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we begin with the Devil card. This card gets a bad rap, but this really it can be a very positive card. This is position 1. This is the station, okay? And this reveals our sense of self right now. Our essential personality. It reveals something that we are sort of consumed by or, preoccupied by right now. And this is kind of our personal style. This is how we're identifying ourselves. And the Devil card is the engine of the car. To me, this is the card of motivation. This is the card of endurance. This is the card that says, I'm getting to the top of the mountain no matter what. Nothing can stop me. Okay? Sometimes this card is a little bit of healthy obsession. That we want something so bad that we're so committed to the goal right now that we are willing to suffer, we're willing to sacrifice, we're willing to fall down, we're willing to get dirty, we're willing to lose friends, right? We're willing to go after it alone if we have to. Okay? The goat here, well, in some ways, it's kind of like your motivation to be the goat, right? The greatest of all time. At whatever you do, maybe it's parenting, maybe it's a stamp collection, maybe it's making ice cream or gumbo, maybe it is, getting to the top of your field in a sport, or it's about you pursuing that art form, whether it's writing or music or sculpting or whatever it is you're doing. Whatever, it doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is why. Because you want to be great at it. You want to be the best that you can be. The thing about the goat, see, is that it's not comparing itself to other goats. It's saying, I'm going to be the goat in my own life. It's the lone mountain goat. It's willing to climb any mountain for the right reasons. And that's kind of part of it's kind of a neutral thing. You know how like the engine of the car is kind of neutral? It doesn't really care where you're going, just as long as like it gets to feel the power, it gets to rev and drive, and it gets to be an engine, right? So we have to ask when this card shows up, where are we focusing our attention? What are we obsessed over right now in life? And how does this shape our experience of the world? Let's say you're so obsessed with becoming the best, jiu-jitsu, person that you can be, or the best drummer in the world, right? Or the best drummer in your own life, let's say. We have to ask how that is influencing the rest of our lives, because that's our main object of our attention, what we're putting all of our energy into, most of it, right? So does that mean that we are sort of not experiencing other aspects of life? Have we sacrificed a little bit of our social life in order to practice our craft, whatever it might be? What have you had to give up in your life in order to do this? And be all in, 100% in on this. Because the thing about the Devil card, because it is neutral, doesn't really care what mountain you're climbing. That's up to you to make sure you're climbing the right one. What happens if we get to the top of the mountain and we think, oh no, it's the wrong one? Or we're climbing up the corporate ladder only to realize we put our ladder against the wrong building. Oh no, right? And so, you put the goat in front of any mountain, it's going to climb to the top. But this card invites us to sort of ask, like, what's driving us forward? What are we identifying with so much that we're willing to go through the hard work to get it, to do it, to accomplish it, to live that life? And I guess it also kind of asks the question, are we enjoying the journey? Is there something about this that we can say, I like it. I'm dirty, I'm sweaty, I'm I'm scraped up. I'm tired, but I like it, you know. Let's keep going. Let's put this card into a little bit of context. We're going to use our Dove and Serpent spread, and we have the next card that is very nice. It's the Princess of Wands. We have a Five of Cups. You have an Ace of Swords. You have a Queen of Swords, and that's very, very good too. We have, oh, your superpower card. Look at that. That is the Art or Temperance card, and it is associated with the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, so that is you. That is you and your best self. That is the best version of yourself, and I like this. I think that is the perfect card to have in this position. We have the Emperor. Very good too. We have a Seven of Wands. Oh, we got a double shot here of a Tower, and as a clarifier, we have a Knight of Wands. And finally, we have, okay, pretty, you know, pretty stable there with a fixed air energy with a Prince of Swords there at the end. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it over here with Tiny Bob Ross right on top. Now, we're not going to look at that happy little card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. Okay. Now, as we look around the room, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana, and that's good. That's it's a very powerful majors too, right? We have that cardinal earth energy with that Capricorn energy, that devil card. We've got, of course, your fiery Sagittarius power card. We have a fiery Emperor. We have a fiery Tower. So this is really, this is a path that is going to change your life. It is major. It's going to change who you are, and it's going to change your reality. Okay. We got fire and fire. A little bit of water. I think this is good water in a good place. We've got air, air, and air. Don't have any earth cards right now. And you want to know why we don't have any earth? Well, we have the devil card, right? It's Capricorn. It's an earthy card. But there's no pentacles because, like I said, it doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is how and why. Okay? And so that kind of echoes what we said about the devil card, that the devil doesn't, this goat doesn't care what mountain you're climbing. As long as you're climbing. The engine doesn't care where the car's going. The engine just wants to rev and feel the power and be moving along, right? It's up to you to steer the car. The engine doesn't care where you're going. And that's the devil card. Doesn't care. We could be obsessed with something that's really going to be bad for us, which very often happens. This card can be those kinds of things, addictions and things like that. But what if we're sort of addicted to something that is positive and healthy and is going to lead something that we enjoy and something that's going to lead to a tremendous change in your circumstances? Okay, so the second position now of our spread is called the battle. It's the event of your life right now. It's the personal task or quest. It's the field of our conflict or challenge. There's an event here. It's this sort of a choice. You know, there's a risk that you're being asked to take. This is the Princess of Wands, a very risk-taking card. It's the feeling right now that maybe we're being reckless, that we're taking too big of a risk, that we haven't really thought it through. Okay, and that's I think the big task for you is to think this through a little bit, so that you know that this is a good risk to take, that this is a worthwhile risk. It's a calculated risk. It's a risk that you are gonna think it through. We got this good air energy here. So with the princess, this is impulse to behavior. I get a surge of, I get an idea and I act on it immediately. Well, there's no hesitation. So this can be reckless behavior. You get these two cards together and it says, whoa, let's think about it. Right? Let's not just jump into something, without having a little bit of thought beforehand. Let's pause for a moment. Make sure this is the right obsession, the right leap, the right risk. Okay? And then we go all in 1,000%. Okay? And so this card is right now saying what your quest is, or this kind of conflict that you're dealing with is, am I being impulsive and reckless, or is this a good risk to take? You know, am I being smart, or am I just being foolish? Maybe the mystery card will help us figure that out. But, you know, right now we're sort of like, there's this option before you, and there is this impulse in you that wants to leap. And of course, the devil energy doesn't care. It says, ooh, a mountain, let's climb it. And then the Princess of Wands is saying, yeah, let's go. This is exciting. I'm all in. But I think your higher nature is saying, wait a second, let's make sure that this is going to be appropriate. Let's make sure that this is a calculated risk. You're not opposed to taking risks, but you don't want to be reckless. Okay, so that's kind of where we are with the, we're being called to this very courageous act. You know, we're being called to really change, to jump into the pressure cooker here, to lay down on the blacksmith's anvil and take a really big risk. So we're being called to action. There's something that's summoning you in life, and there's that part of you that's saying, okay, I feel it, let me just, you know, let me get a bigger picture. Let me take myself out of how I feel to make sure that this is reasonable, appropriate, and wise. Okay? And the next card is kind of it's the third position in our spread. It's called the soul. This is part of your character. This is an unconscious part of you that right now is a bit of an emotional, it's an emotional sort of wave, right? It's an emotional energy. And this is this is the hidden attitude, the hidden feelings, and it's a card of disappointment, right? So this is the card that says, you know, look at one. It's a feeling inside that says, look at me. Anytime we get a 5, it says, look over here. So there's something deep in you, in your emotional body, that's saying, look at me, acknowledge the feeling that you feel. Because I think this is the feeling that when we see this big risk in front of us that we could take, we say, yeah, I want to take it, because right now there's something that should be in my life, but it's not. And this is motivating me to take a risk. See, I like the so-called negative cards of the tarot. They get a bad rap. Like a 5, you know, of swords, a 5 of pentacles, a 5 of cups, a 5 of wands. They get sort of a bad rap, but really they are the cards that say, this is your motivation to change. Because life is not perfect right now, it gives you some kind of motive. It gives you a reason to do something different, to strive, to climb that mountain, to climb that ladder, to get motivated, to endure the hardships of change. It's inviting us to change, okay? So that we can feel better. There's something inside of us that's stirring. And rather than ignore this feeling, we're going to take action. So this is kind of this is that uncomfortable feeling inside of us that's saying something is trying to get your attention and is saying it's time to move, it's time to climb a ladder, it's time to climb a mountain, it's time to take a risk and go do it, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. And so we're sort of honoring the depth and the mystery within us when we recognize, okay, I'm feeling this feeling, and this is inspiring me to take a risk and change my life. But, there's always a but, right? Insert inappropriate joke right there. The caveat here is that we need to make sure that the risk that we are taking is not just a reaction against this uncomfortable feeling. Oh, I feel uncomfortable right now, and so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do something impulsive to see if I can feel better. Because that doesn't sound all that healthy, does it? That doesn't really sound right. So that's kind of where we need to pause and make sure that this risk we're about to take is not just a reaction to, I don't feel good today, so I'm going to go have a bowl of ice cream. That way I'll feel better, And sometimes it works that way, right? Sometimes we have the ice cream and we do feel a little bit better. We still have our problems in front of us, but we might feel a little bit better having treated ourselves to something kind, right? So, there's nothing wrong with this. But we need to, as our Queen of Swords is advising, we need to look at this thing objectively and make sure that this risk we're about to take is appropriate and is not merely, emphasis, bold that text, merely a reaction to an uncomfortable feeling. Okay, we need to see the truth of things. And now this is position 4. This is an interesting position. It's the dwarf. It's an event that sort of uncovers the past influences or some sort of karmic drag or inertia that is still sort of, pulling on us. It's a past event, right, that kind of shapes our current situation. And sort of feels like this is a time where we didn't really feel all that certain about things. And I wonder if, I wonder if there has been a period of kind of not having a direction, This is the card that's saying we have finally penetrated through our confused mind, through the chaos of our thoughts, right? As human beings, right? We have a lot of thoughts, a lot of time during the day, a lot of hours out of the day we spend thinking about stuff. And I wonder if this is a time in your life where maybe you were sort of an overthinker, where you didn't really, you didn't have the feeling of certainty or clarity in your life. See, this is the card that doesn't really know all the answers, but doesn't need to know all the answers. So maybe we've spent a good portion of our lives searching for answers and not really finding any answers, and then kind of feeling lost about that. Feeling kind of, that mentally I haven't worked everything out yet. And so I'm still confused. I still have more questions. This card might be showing the way, though. This might be saying that, look, eventually we stop asking questions. We trust in something. We believe in something. And sometimes belief means faith. It means I'm choosing to accept this even when I don't have all the facts. Even when I'm in this period of it's easy to have faith when we can see the evidence before us. I have faith that the sun's going to rise at some point in the next, 24 hours. It's easy to have faith in the sunrise because it's pretty good odds, right? I can't be absolutely 100% sure, but I could be 99.9999999% sure the sun will rise. Okay? So it makes it easy to have faith. But when something isn't so certain, when we don't have all the facts, when we have more questions than we have answers, faith becomes a very difficult thing to have. Okay? And so I think that you were a person who, at one time in your life, you really liked to have the answers. But I think now we're sort of shifting out of that a little bit, and we're learning to trust the intuition. See, this card shows that your consciousness has penetrated through the realm of the chaotic mind and has pierced outer space. See, the tip of the sword there is in outer space, receiving the starlight. So if you've learned how to accept the naturally chaotic and uncertain aspect of our mind and still yet receive the signal from deep space, right? From your star, from the universe, from spirit, from the divine. And I think that's what we're trying to do now, is we're trying to trust that intuition that says this is a good reason to take a risk. Right? That there is something in you that's pointing you in this direction, saying, go take this risk. This is going to be good for you. But of course, you're trying to be reasonable still and go up here to position 5, the giant part of your character. This is dominant motivation. And this is, again, it's kind of like still an echo of that past Ace of Swords, where it's, where we still want some kind of answer, some kind of certainty or something, right? Now, by the way, I've moved the microphone. I don't know if you've noticed. I've moved the mic over here. So now I've got the mic a little bit closer to me. So let me know if the audio sounds okay, right? I'm worried that my arm here is going to block the sound waves, right? Anyway, there's a little behind-the-scenes kind of problem that I deal with here. Where to put the mic? Anyway, this is us trying to be objective. We're trying to get a bird's eye view. See, what this Queen of Swords is doing is rising above the water. You see they're floating in the sky. So they're in the realm of mind still. They're not in outer space receiving the signal. They're in the realm of mind. They're trying to use the mind to separate out the emotions, right, the 5 of Cups, and put it way out there to say, okay, what does that really tell me? So we don't want to be consumed by our emotions, We become our sadness, and that's all we can see. That's all we experience is the sadness. And then, of course, our impulse is to get the hell out of here. Pardon my language, H-E double hockey sticks. But if we can detach from our emotion a little bit, not suppress it, not deny it, not keep it under the surface, but if we can say, I am not my sadness, but I can see and feel my sadness, then I can ask it a question. Why are you here? Well, because I'm just not satisfied with where my life is, and I want to do something different. I want to keep moving. Okay, that sounds reasonable, right? But when we're just here, it's like, ew, I feel icky, and I need to change it no matter what, at any cost. This feeling I have right now, I don't like it, and I need to get out of it. If we can do a little bit of that detachment, healthy detachment, we're not suppressing the emotions, we're acknowledging it, we're looking at it, but we're saying, I'm not sadness. Instead, I feel that there is a sadness approaching me, and I need to have a conversation. So the heart and the mind are having a little convo here to figure out, should we take this risk? Is this Princess of Wands just a reaction to the sadness? Or is this really a reaction or a response to that intuition of that Ace of Swords that's saying, let's do this? Okay? And so we need this, because this is that energy that kind of separates from the emotions just enough to be able to see it as something separate. If we see it outside of us, and we say, okay, if we sort of look at ourselves through a third person kind of a vantage point, then we can say, okay, there's a sadness that's approaching, or an anger, or whatever the emotion is. There is a feeling approaching, and I need to figure out how to deal with this in a way that is going to be productive and healthy and, wise. So the next card position is position 6, the Imago. The next step, the future events, the immediate consequences of your actions, and the shape of things to come. This is the shape of your unfolding journey, and it is your superpower card. It is the Art or Temperance card. Your path next, if we choose to leap into this, is going to lead to a pressure cooker. This is a blacksmith's anvil. So it's going to lead to intense inner transformation for you. And that means that we have to acknowledge that, okay, you know what, I feel this 5 of Cups. I feel that there's some kind of, an existential dissatisfaction with my life right now, and I need to make a change. And I feel this driving force and this motivation, and I want to do this thing, whatever it is. But I know that it's going to require a lot of hard work. It's going to be a pressure cooker, right? It's not going to be easy. Change is never easy, right? And so I feel that it's really smart for you to get all the right kind of perspectives that you can here before you take this big leap. And then we go into the pressure cooker, and guess what? You start to change. It begins with this inner process of transformation, and this is creating in you the best version of yourself. And so that's kind of the result of all of it. The next step for you is to go into the pressure cooker and allow yourself to be transformed by it. See, this is the card of alchemy. Every experience is an alchemical transformation. Okay? We're being changed by life, and life is being changed by us. And it happens all the time. It's a constant thing. Life is alchemy itself, right? Or alchemy is life itself, however you want to say it. And so going forward, we're sort of asking our question, if I enter into this pressure cooker, who am I going to become? If I'm already in that, if you're in that pressure cooker now, let's say you've already taken the leap, you've already taken the risk, we can ask, who am I becoming? This situation I'm in, this mountain that I'm climbing, the ladder I'm climbing, the obsession that I have, the project I'm working on, whatever this great work is, or the stamp collection, or whatever it is, this thing, whatever it is, how is it changing me? Who am I becoming by being this? Am I becoming cold and distant? Am I becoming angry? Am I becoming happier? Am I becoming more successful? Am I becoming, more connected with people, or am I becoming sort of more isolated? What qualities are we developing here? And how can we continue to guide our life in such a way that we like who we're becoming? That's really the question, right? As we step into that pressure cooker, we have to always be doing this self-assessment. Do I like who I'm becoming? Am I happy with the kind of person that this is building me into? And if we can say mostly yeah, You know, I might have some bad reactions to things sometimes. I might not always be so cheerful and happy and say, yeah, let's go to the blacksmith's anvil. I can't wait to get in the pressure cooker today. But overall, if we like who we're becoming, I think this is a very positive sort of thing. This is the wisdom here. So we see a lot of wisdom in all of this, and I really feel that this obsession of yours, this motivation, whatever your driving force is right now, is changing you into a better version of yourself, even if we don't always feel that way. Okay? Now, oh, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Okay? And if there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. This next position, this is position 7. It is the persona, your public mask, the social face you wear, the costume that we wear in the sort of greater theater of life, okay? And it's the emperor. It is a boss energy. This is somebody that does not need to go through all of this kind of thought process or perspective or feeling, analysis, thought and consideration and all intuition and, oh, I don't know. You present to the world as somebody that knows what they want, knows how to get it, someone that is large and in charge, right? That's your vibe. And maybe you're, you know, kind of, you consider yourself like a so-called alpha personality, that you, it doesn't appear as if you ever question your own decisions or that you have any sort of confidence kind of thing. It feels as if people look at you and think, man, that's Sagittarius. They had it all figured out. They always know what they're doing. You know, I wish I could be like that. Well, everybody could. But they don't see what's behind the scenes, right? It's kind of like this is everything that's behind the scenes. And then, of course, this is your public face. Okay? And this, I think, is a mask that is really serving you well. It's a very confident, very assertive, very self-assured kind of mask. Yeah. And that's kind of what we need to ask ourselves. Like, does this, you know, this is how others see us. This is our public identity. Does it work for you? Is it serving your highest truth? Well, it's not all of who you are. No. Is it an authentic part of who you are? Yeah. Our mask, our persona, it comes out of ourselves. You know, even if we feel that sometimes life has given us a mask and says, here, you're supposed to wear this. Maybe our family has given us our persona and said, this is who you're supposed to be, right? And we put that mask on, but it's our personality that comes through that mask in some way. And that's kind of, you know, that's, I think, our search for authenticity. Because very often, especially as kids, life, our parents, our society, our teachers, whatever, they will sort of provide us the materials for us to create our mask. But it's still something that is created from us. So it's still an authentic part of us. But sometimes it can be a very small part of us. And then we may say, I don't want just that mask anymore. I want to construct a richer, fuller, more detailed mask of myself that feels a little bit more wholesome, a little bit more kind of, you know, integrated or, you know, a little more put together, right? So we sort of ask ourselves that question with this particular aspect of our mask or persona. How much of me does this encompass? You know, and is this a mask that I've constructed in order to sort of, you know, to deal with the external world in a way that's productive and wise and healthy and good for me? And I would kind of say yes, that this seems good because we have all this thoughtfulness and all of this introspection behind the scenes, and then this becomes a very powerful mask. So I feel like you are a leader in life, and I feel like people really look at you as the leader. The next card is position 8. It's the shadow. It's an event. There's some hidden events or influences in your environment, circumstances that test you, right? By stirring up kind of what we deny or sometimes repress in ourselves. And this is the Seven of Wands. This is the card of valor. This is the card of climbing the mountain even when the odds are against us. And so there is some aspect of challenge in this situation for you that is, it kind of is stirring up a lot of this power, right? A lot of this, like, I want to prove everybody wrong kind of thing, or I want to prove myself right by doing this. And so it kind of is us like wanting to step on the gas harder. Okay. And it's a card of like a lot of odds. It's kind of a David and Goliath kind of card. And it's in your environment right now, and so there might even be a little bit of competition with other people. We might not necessarily direct competition with other people, but it might be that like we want a greater challenge because we want to prove that we can do the greater challenge. It's like you don't want something that's so easy. If it was easy, it wouldn't really require you to do anything, you know? It wouldn't take that much effort if it were easy. So it's something that is rather challenging for you. Maybe a sport, it may be a new skill or something that it's not easy. Okay, that's the idea, is that it's truly not easy. As the position of your relationships with other people, your relationships with the environment, I feel like right now there is kind of there's a blockage on other relationships in your life. I feel like the lone mountain goat is really the theme for you, because I feel that you're not focused so much on friends and family and social things. I think we're focused on this project or this work or this path, and sort of we know how difficult it's going to be, and so we're kind of limiting the distractions. You know, because I kind of feel like we have to redirect all of our energy to this thing if we're going to have that breakthrough, if we're going to accomplish anything here. Okay, it may be that there's a lot of competition around you, like the people at work or other people in your life or just things you see on the internet. It feels like everybody's trying to one-up everybody else. Everybody's trying to best everybody. And I feel like sometimes that does stir up a little bit of that like fierce competitive energy, and you kind of stirs up a little bit of that impulsivity of the Princess of Wands, but also stirs up some of the shadow qualities of the Emperor. That then now it's just like, now I just got to fight and kick everybody's butt just because I've been challenged, you know. Someone calls Marty McFly Yella, and he's going to do something that maybe he probably shouldn't do. A little Back to the Future reference. I love Michael J. Fox. I heard he's a fan of the show, too, by the way. I don't know if it's true, but anyway. We have to be cautious of that. We don't want to be provoked by other people around us into doing something impulsive. Again, it's kind of like we're going to put a little bit of a buffer between our impulse and our behavior so that we can quickly go through all these other cards and say, is this a good response? Yes, okay, then boom, confident, assertive, self kind of assured movement forward. Okay, in any kind of situation, especially in this big life-changing choice that you're about to make, but then also in those kind of day-to-day interactions, don't let people push your buttons, basically. This is sometimes that, right? Sometimes people pushing our buttons. The next card or cards are the fear, worry, the concern. Okay. And it's position 9. It's called the Spectre. These are sometimes the hidden anxieties. Sometimes the dread, right? And we see a very, very clear message with the fear here. Fear that our impulse, we have fire on fire here with the Knight of Wands. It's an Aries energy. We're afraid that the shadow qualities of the Emperor will ruin our lives. And so in this case, yeah, we don't want to get our buttons pushed by other people that draw us into acting in a way we don't want to act, behaving in a way we don't want to behave. So how do we do that? Well, I think we pause. I think anything that we're about to do, we remove ourselves from the situation so that we can sort of meditate upon it. And even if it's in 5 seconds or 4 or 5 seconds, but we can't always do that. We don't always have the luxury of getting ourselves out of a situation in order to calm down and kind of think, okay, well, what am I supposed to do, right? And so sometimes we have to trust that our reaction and our response to life is going to be the right one, okay? And it's not always easy. There are things in life that will push your buttons, people that will push your buttons continuously to try to get a reaction out of you. And, that's something that is inherent in all of us. We have these systems and pathways that are just ingrained in us. And when that button gets pushed, we react in a certain way. And it takes a tremendous act of will to hold ourselves back from reacting in that particular way. Okay? So that's sort of the fear, right? That we're going to act, we're going to take some risk, and we're going to be reckless, and things are going to really just not turn out well, right? Tower. But these cards also show a very positive aspect, because just as the Princess of Wands is the impulse to action, this is a reckless card. This is rather a calculated risk-taking card, because this is somebody who's jumping all in, but who is trusting in that process. I'm trusting in my impulse here. The horse and the rider are one unit. This is somebody dancing with the tiger. Probably not a good idea. Being reckless, right? This is somebody that's united as one unit with the horse. The horse and the rider trust each other, right? We're sort of conscious mind trusting the impulse, and we're leaping in. And that's how the horse, we're able to leap over the hedges or whatever, or like go in the fences or whatever like that, If the horse doesn't trust the rider or vice versa, pretty sure you're going to get thrown off the horse, and that'll hurt, okay? So it's a big difference from these two, because this is saying, I don't want to be reckless. This is saying, I'm trusting my impulse, and this is a calculated risk, and I'm leaping in with everything I have. I'm not hesitating. This is the card that does not put the buffer between impulse and action. Okay? Because now I kind of feel like we've done that, and we've looked at the situation. We know how we want to respond, and now we're going with it. We're trusting it fully, and guess what? This becomes a revelation. This becomes that we're breaking through, right? That we're leveling up. Your whole life is about to change. This is a card of very abrupt change. So this is a pretty big risk you're taking. And I think it's a risk that on the other side of this, as we see the final kind of outcome, the destiny card, the culmination of everything, it's a fixed air energy. It's a Prince of Swords. And to me, this is commitment. This is like confirmation in our mind. This is our mind that says, okay, look, we took the leap. We landed, and all systems are go. Like the mind is going to be very, very focused and very committed, and is not going to be flickering. It's not going to be wavering, right? Very solid sort of, belief in this thing. We've been asked to believe in this and trust this. We've been questioning the impulsivity, and then we finally decide to do it. And on the other side, we're realizing that, okay, that was a good choice. So to me, this card is all about the confirmation. After we take this leap and we change our life, we're still gonna be, just as committed. Everything is, all systems go. Okay, and so this feels perfect. This is still we're sort of remaining committed to that choice. Yeah, this is it's a fixed air energy. It means your mind is not doubting and questioning things. We're solid. We're stable. Okay, this is us knowing that this was a good idea, but we're not going to know till we go. This is like at first saying, well, I'm pretty sure the sun's going to rise. I'm going to take it on faith, and I'm going to go live my life as if it's going to. And then this is tomorrow morning, sun comes up, says, yeah, see, I knew it. So this is you're being proven right. This is you in the morning saying, I told you so, right? In the perfect way. I like this card. I think it really shows that the risk we're about to take is going to be confirmed as a positive choice. Let's look at position 11, the mystery card, the guide. This reveals your higher self, your inner teacher, the deepest wisdom, the character qualities that you should develop in order to walk your path ahead. So what do we think it's going to be? Well, I think it's going to be an ace. I think it's going to be probably more fire energy, but it might be something intuitive. It might be the high priestess. It might be some water energy, showing that we're sort of trusting the feeling. You take this leap. How does it feel? Does it feel right? Even though you're jumping into a pressure cooker, you're jumping onto the blacksmith's anvil. How does it feel? This could be the Hanged Man, right? If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. Oh, it's the Star. Oh, yeah. The Star is that faith and hope and trust in the divine, right? This is the voice of your soul's truth, and this is saying, follow this star, follow the light, follow the intuition, because it's leading you in the right way. So this is that insight that says, okay, you know what? I can trust my instinct. I can trust my impulse, because it's not just a reaction to, ooh, I feel icky today. It is an intuitive deeply spiritual kind of impulse, okay? That you're following your North Star. You're not following the whims of your emotions, right? You're not letting the fluctuating tides of your feelings drive the car. You're letting Spirit take the wheel. So this is tremendous insight into the nature of this choice, what the choice is, why do you want to make it? Why do you want to do this thing? So again, all the questions we asked ourselves from the Devil card and the Emperor card. Why do I want to climb this mountain? Why do I feel so drawn to this thing? And is it wise? Is it a good idea? And I think that you going forward and saying yes to this is you following your destiny. This is a very strong confirmation. Okay? And I think that this is a card that's saying, let's try to keep our human heart and mind from interfering with the starlight. Let it flow through you and trust it. Right? This is a big time card of trust. It's about the mind and the heart trusting the divine light that's flowing through you. Yeah. Now, let's let the lessons of these 11 stations settle into our hearts. Each card is a mirror. Each station is a temple of transformation, alternating between who you're becoming and the world you're creating. Remember that the tarot does not dictate your future. It reveals the patterns of possibility. It invites you to co-create your destiny. If this reading has illuminated your path in any way, please share your reflections down below. Together we journey onward, ever upward, and ever inward. And we're going to do an extended reading as well. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner. There's a link down below in the video description. New readings for Sagittarius Wednesdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.